were you able to kind of get off of work and kind of turn it off and then go home, or did you carry a lot of calls with you home like a lot of police officers do? Because I do want to tie in the mental health before we get into the big part of this story.
Yeah, so in the beginning, I wasn't married. I met my wife very shortly after my career started. She's a nurse in the ER, so she's also a shift worker. And in the beginning, I want to say that I was only a year or so, maybe even less in when we started dating. And so we started dating, moved in together, no kids or anything at the time, and still a young guy. And so the carrying it home with you got worse with time, and definitely after becoming a father. I didn't know in the beginning, I think, that I was carrying stuff home with me. So, like, my answer back then would have been no, it's not, or I'm not. And, I can go on to my days off and enjoy my days off and, hang out with friends. But you realize after a while that a lot of your friends are friends that are in the department. You're talking about the same things that happen at work. And then, um, a lot in the beginning of my career, there was a lot of, my very first shift, was one of the most tragic calls that I've ever gone to. And out of respect for the family, I'm not going to detail it too heavily, but a very innocent person lost their life. It was very traumatic and very sad. I was the first responding officer with my FTO, who's become one of my best friends. And, when the call was done, we continued our shift, we finished our shift. And, obviously mental health and stuff has come a long way since then. We still got a long way to go, but finished that shift, went home, went to sleep, had a lot of dreams about it. But at the time, I just figured it was normal. Get back up, go back into work. You have your critical incident debrief, and then back to work. And kind of something that always stayed with me was a lot of the scenes from the call, a lot of uh, the moments from that call, and you never forget them, and they never go away. And it definitely, right then and there, starts to shape your perception of people and humanity, faith. And so, in the very beginning, a lot of that stuff I would say that I didn't wear on my sleeve. I didn't come home and I wasn't a mess. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't, like crying out for help. There was none of that to start with, for sure. And then, time goes on and you get more senior in your career, and the similar styles of calls pile up, and those similar events start to happen. And then you realize you're waking up with minimal sleep and you're getting short. Like, I'd be getting short with my wife, or, um, and not realizing that it was directly related to the stress of the job. And it wasn't until we're talking 12 plus years later, almost since my injury, when I like really sat down, hashed out, and like had some of these conversations, and realized that I was operating in fight or flight basically all the time, and I thought that that was normal. So, the short answer to your question is, definitely was in the beginning, not so much. Definitely ended up being someone that brought it home with me, and I didn't realize I was doing it.
Did your perspective on God shift at all being a police officer? Because I know a lot of people will talk about this, like, you see the worst of the worst, you're going to these calls, and just like you explained, you're carrying it. Even if you're not talking about it, you're dreaming about it, or it's coming out in other ways. And a lot of cops, and this is a blanket statement, they kind of have this jaded view of the world because you're taught. I mean, you're taught don't trust anybody. So did your perspective shift at all on God, or did you struggle at all with your faith once you kind of got into that, you know, head on into being a police officer?